What I learned from this is always trust your gut instinct. Okay. Calico, oh my God, I gotta tell you the story about my Calico. Digital cameras hardly existed. We had no iPhones, no anything. But I have a lot of printed pictures of a Calico. When I tell you guys the story, like whoever's like cats or animals, you're all gonna cry because it's a really sad story. But it's a story that I learned a lot from. Uh, I'll tell you more with pictures later, but I found, okay, so I was on my way from Laredo. I lived in Laredo, right? This is in like 2006 or something, or 2000, I don't know, somewhere around there. I lived in Laredo, Texas. I bought a condo in Laredo, Texas, right? And I was on my way to Mexico City, and I stopped by Monterrey. We used to take these first class, like they're called ETN, these first class buses to Mexico City. Sometimes I drove, sometimes I took those buses because they were really nice to the dogs and everything else. So I used to travel around with my 4 dogs and the big cages and everything. So anyway, so we take this bus, and at this bus station in Monterrey, as soon as we arrive, I see this cat with 2 kitties, a calico, beautiful calico. And some guy stopped by and he sold us like really fresh made flour tortillas. So I bought some, and the cat literally came running up to me to ask me for some. And I was like, oh my God, how starving is this cat that he's begging me for tortillas. She is begging me for tortillas because all calicos are females, right? So so I gave her some tortillas and she like devoured them like they were meat. I was like, oh my God, this cat is so hungry. I was so sad. So I wanted to take it. I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm taking this cat. I'm taking this cat. I'm taking this cat. And people were like, no, she's been here for 3 years. Like, come back and get her when you have a box or whatever, like a kennel or whatever, you know? And I said, okay, fine. I'll be back in a week. I'm going to come back by here on my way back to Laredo in a week. And I'll come back with a kennel. I'll be ready with a kennel. I'll take the kitties and the cat, right? Because she was so beautiful. So I ended up staying for 10 days instead of a week, right? And I come back, I'm all ready with my kennel, ready for my cat, you know, because she inspired something in me. And I get off the bus on the way back at the ETN terminal in Monterrey. It's, you know, really nice terminals and everything. And I start looking for the cat, and I can't find her. And suddenly somebody comes up to me, and they're like, oh, she's behind that gas tank back there, like all the way in the parking lot. And so I go back there and I look for her, and she's completely paralyzed and dying. This is in the middle of the summer, okay? Completely paralyzed, dying back there. Her kitty's gone. Oh, as I drove in, one of them had just been hit by a car. One of her last kitty, because the other one was hit before or whatever. So she's dying, literally paralyzed from the waist down, completely just dying, okay? And I start asking around, like, what happened? I was just going to grab her and take off with her and her kitties, you know? Yeah. So I grab her. I'm freaking out. It's 100 and something degrees. It's, you know, Monterrey weather. Like, it's really, really hot, right? I'm freaking out. So instead of getting her on the bus and taking her, I grab all my stuff, all my dogs, all my luggage, everything out of the bus, and I take her to the vet. Yeah, it's cold out here. And I just took a shower. So you got to be careful. You can't just start taking care of yourself when you're older. You got to take care of yourself when you're young. So anyway, so I grab her, I take her to the nearest vet. I said, what's the best vet here in Monterrey that you can take me? So I take a cab. They do x-rays right away. And from what the bus people told me, one of the managers at the bus station grabbed her, put her in a black bag, in a plastic bag, and smashed her and broke her and destroyed her spine. I was literally freaking out. I took her to the vet. They said, well, there's nothing we can do. This is what's wrong with her. Like she had, her discs were all like, screwed up, whatever. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But anyway, she was paralyzed. And so I took her with me. I got back to the bus station, got back on. They put me on the next bus. I took her with me to Laredo, Texas, the U.S. side. I lived on the U.S. side back then, at the border, but at the U.S. side. And that was the beginning of a long journey with her. I had her for 3 years in diapers. She had 3 surgeries. She had, I don't know what the therapies were called. They were called, proloterapia was the name in Spanish. Proloterapia. I gave her a lot of those, which was pretty expensive. And that was to try to get her to regenerate something or something. I don't even know, but it was called proloterapia. She got that done in Mexico City. Then she was hospitalized for I went to Europe, so I left her the whole time I went to Europe. I left her at a clinic in Mexico City, getting her therapy. So it kind of served both purposes, like somebody taking care of her while I was gone, and at the same time getting therapy. So her name was Gors. She was my Gors, right? She was so beautiful. She was like mostly white with the yellow and, patches and stuff. I have so many pictures. I'll show you guys later. So, but again, we didn't really there was no phones. It was 2006, and there was digital cameras. We had digital cameras, but the cyber shots had just come out. The little Sony cyber shots. So, so she struggled a lot. She was in pain for about a year because we didn't know what to do until she got that final surgery that really relieved her pain. She had no more pain, but she still couldn't walk. But she would like drag herself really fast, and then it got to the point where like her feet would go up, so it looked like she was walking, but she wasn't. She never walked again. And the only problem, Gors. So her name, I also named her Gorda, but I used to call her Gors for Gorda. So she was like my Gors, right? I always have these weird names for them, but I called her Gorda, but I called her Gors. So anyway, so she used to kind of run and but the problem with her was that you had to keep, 3 or 4 times a day, you had to keep squeezing her bladder because she had no control. So she couldn't pee on her own. So you had to squeeze her bladder 3 times a day, which is like right in between their leg, like right under their hip almost. So the doctor teaches you how to find the bladder. It's like a little thing, it feels like a little bubble, and you squeeze it and she pees, and you have to do that 3 times a day. But, at least, like whenever you feel that it's full or whatever. But the problem is that she kept getting constant. Hi, Christine. She kept getting, I have 59 people watching. Wow. She kept getting constant bladder infections, urinary tract infections, UTIs. No! Biting my boot. And so, we had like a lot of alternative treatment for her, but it got to the point where I didn't know all the things that I know now. Otherwise, she'd probably maybe still be alive. I kept taking her to the vet, and they kept giving her antibiotics. And you had to, her entire, surroundings, she had to be really clean, because she could get an infection really easily. So then, I traveled with her all around. She flew. I would, take her back and forth to Mexico City with me, either by car, because I would leave it in Laredo. I would leave my car in Laredo, or by bus, the buses that I'm telling you about. And she spent a lot of time with me at my house in Valle de Bravo. She loved it. She loved my dogs. They really embraced her, And one day we were in Laredo. We were supposed to go to Mexico City. She had a really, really bad infection, but she had become immune to a lot of the antibiotics. So I took her to this vet in Laredo, Texas, in Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, and he really did not know what the hell he was doing. She started having seizures because he gave her a wrong type of something that was not good for her. It was supposed to be more for dogs, and he gave it to her anyway. So I started freaking out. He put IV in her, and I literally took the bus with an IV from Laredo, Texas, from Nuevo Laredo to Mexico City, which is about 12 hours. The whole time on the bus holding her with the freaking IV, okay? We still made it. We made it because she was freezing. Like, she went into like, some type of shock. We still made it to Polanco, which is where our really good vet is, Alvarez Cámara. They are literally heaven sent. They're amazing. They're the best vet in all of Mexico. People fly in from all over the country to bring in their animals. So we still made it to Alvarez Cámara, but it was too late. Her body was already like shut down. We hospitalized her. We arrived at like 6 a.m. and probably by like noon she had died. So I think everything I could, but what I learned from this is always trust your gut instinct, okay?